join me in welcoming Charlotte and Olivia to the screen.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. All right, shall we just dive in?
I'm
Yeah,
going to let
let's
you guys chat. I'll be back.
All right, thank you, Kathy. Thank you so much. And remember, folks, that's Blue Willow Books. You want to direct all your bookshop links to them. In the next few minutes, we're going to have Rex. But to start, Charlotte, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. And I want to start with the bare bones question of where did this paranormal series start? Like, how did this come about?
um okay, well, it's been in my head and on my various laptops for since about 2004, I think. I think
Oh,
it was
yeah.
I think it's that far back that I had sort of like the German of an idea about a sanctuary for supernatural creatures where creatures would come and they'd have like problems and they'd get resolved by a witch who kind of runs the place. And it's gone through various kind of iterations. It's gone through various kind of like different stylings, I guess, until
Yeah.
it finally until rom-coms became like a really big thing. And I thought this is perfect to do like a paranormal rom-com romance type of thing. Yeah, and so it's been brewing for a long time, and it's at various points it's been a little bit inspired by True Blood, by Gilmore Girls, by What We Do in the Shadows, various other things by books by Ursula Le Guin and all kinds of things like that. Yeah, so it's been brewing a long time. Yeah, and it's been really fun to write it, to actually finally get to write it.
Well, it's been a delight to read. And it's so interesting as well because, like, so many of the newer romantasy are by younger writers, and they've come up through like YA fiction and YA fantasy and those particular romance beats, which is where you get your 3 volume series and your long will they, won't they, torn between two different boys, love triangle structures. But you came, like you mentioned, True Blood, and I would argue What We Do in the Shadows, which are much more like classic paranormals.
Mm.
So what we think of in terms of like,
So Olivia's talking about classic paranormals
Mm.
and all those beats. She's far better informed on this than I am. Ooh, she's gone. And I'm guessing she'll be back soon. So hang on. Oh,
Go on,
nope, she's back.
sorry, we literally just lost all our power. So I'm on cellular. So I am so sorry about that. We're working to get the generator fired up. We're out here in the woods, so losing
oh
power is
god.
like not unfamiliar. Um, sorry, where did I get cut off? True Blood, Paranormals, and I was about to say Black Dagger Brotherhood and Nalini Singh as well. Like we're talking like the old school paranormals, your Carpathians and your who is it? Kate Daniels did Paranormals? Who's the Mary Gentry books?
Who's
Yeah.
who's the what, right?
The Mary Gentry, the ones with
Oh gosh. No, it's oh, I can't remember.
yeah,
Oh, it's
it's
totally
been
gone.
like decades. But there was like,
It's Laurel K. Hamilton.
that's
Yes.
the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's interesting seeing those two different prongs kind of happening at once with the, you know, Hunger Games dystopia fourth wing kind of like aspect versus the long-running paranormal series from the 90s and 2000s.
Yeah. Yeah, like, but the thing is, I have always loved. Well, I've always loved everything that you've just mentioned. I've always loved all those kinds of paranormal romances. But the interesting thing is that I also really loved all the sort of like the 2000s young adult stuff, all the kinds of like
Yeah.
the love triangles and all that kind of thing. I've always loved all of it, and
Well,
just
yeah, like
up.
I mean,
So yeah.
yeah, like Hunger Games. We actually rewatched the Hunger Games films recently, and man, you forget how sharp that first movie was. And that first book was like,
Oh
there's a
yeah.
reason it's a sensation. It's emotionally intense.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I remember the first time I ever read The Hunger Games, and I'd got them in paperback for Christmas. And I was supposed to be saving them for Christmas. And I thought, I'll just have a look at the first page.
Oh
That was
no.
a mistake. Yeah, I just ate them all up immediately. Yeah, yeah. That first page, the first chapter really drags you in. You can see how
Mhm.
why people were so like head over heels for it. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
And that kind of like really layered emotional intensity is something that I've always found in your work, even when you're writing like just straight up contemporaries with no magic or monsters at all.
Yeah, my favorite thing to do in a book and is to hit the ground running, is to like really get plunge you straight into the emotion, the conflict, everything that's going on. I absolutely love that. I love it when I'm reading, and I love it when I'm writing. So I think that's probably a little bit of part of if I manage to do that, that's how I manage to do it.
Well, and I think that comes through. Like dealing with a desperate demon, when it starts, she if like the very first scene, is there a prologue? I'm trying to I read
Yeah,
this like
yeah.
I read this week. You'd think my memory would be better, but this is why I take notes.
I can never remember anything. I can't remember my own books.
Well, I mean, yeah, you wrote this years ago. The timelines are all out of whack. You've got like 6 projects more going. But
Yeah, true, it's true.
but like there's the prologue, which is like the classically mysterious prologue that you know you're going to have to connect with the other things. But I think the first present moment scene is when she's looking at him in the bookstore and he's in the dating book section. And that's already so complicated. Like this big, like intimidating guy who's been acting in these super weird ways. And he's in like the relationship section. And like whatever questions you might have, you're like, oh no, this is gonna be fraught and complicated and awkward. Is he gonna make fun of me? Is he gonna think I'm making fun of him? Like
Yeah.
there's so many like tension points already.
Yeah, that's what I hope. I always like to do like a meet cute that's a little bit like complicated and awkward,
Yes.
and the other person could be a serial killer. That's my favorite kind of meet cute.
Well, and that's classic Gothic as well,
Yeah.
which, yeah, would you say you're in like a comedy Gothic renaissance? Because that's kind of what it feels like to me, like all the witchy romances
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
like,
I mean, I hope so. That sounds amazing.
there's been
Yeah.
like jokes going around for weeks now about cozy horror and people being so mad that it's a thing and then so mad that, of course, it's a thing. And
But I really like, and like I find I feel like I'm really loving all the things at the moment, like Let the Forest In and all that kind of stuff, which I suppose is not cozy exactly, but there's something about it that feels a little bit cozy. I don't know. It feels like kind of like
yeah,
there's like really strong on the characters and the relationships, and a lot of affection between the characters and the relationships that I really,
yeah.
to me, it heightens the horror. When people love each other and are really desperate for each other, and tangled relationships and found family, the horror is so much more horrifying.
Yeah.
It's so much scarier then, because it's happening to these people that you like and who all like each other.
Well, yeah, and it's not about jump scares, it's about actual risk to
Mm-hmm.
people with actual emotions at stake, and that
Yeah,
can
yeah.
feel just as big as like I mean, this is a terrible example, blood pouring down the walls, but and that's the thing, like I read Hill House, The Haunting of Hill House for the first time not that long ago,
Oh,
on the first night in our brand new house in the woods, actually. That seemed
really?
like a smart thing. Here we are in this dark and quiet house where I don't know which sounds are normal and which sounds are strange. Let's try this terrifying horror novel I've been meaning to read. And unfortunately, I found it like the most comforting experience. Like, so I'm in the middle of the night reading this terrible novel going, oh, this is great. And I realized it's because so much of the horror in that book comes from she's met, like you say, it's a found family situation, sort of. She's met
Yeah.
these new friends. They're in this house that's supposedly haunted, and they're all trying to like, they're bonding really intensely, and she's drawn very strongly to these people. And yet every now and again, you get the strong impression that do they even like her? Are they up to something sinister? And there's these little flashes. And so all the horror isn't so much like when the ghosts show up, it's almost a relief. You're like, oh, okay, she's not imagining this. And like
It's
otherwise,
all
all the horror is maybe, yeah, like maybe my friends secretly hate me. And I'm like, maybe they do. That's frightening.
I was just gonna say, yeah, like bound up in that friendship anxiety. Like, is everybody hanging out without me? Does nobody actually like me? Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect.
And I think that's, go ahead.
I'll have to read that. I don't think I've ever have. I feel like I've never read that. I'm gonna have to.
It's super lovely. I enjoyed every second. And then I got to the end and was like, oh my God. And then I decided, because Mr. Wade and I read books to each other alternatingly, and I'm like, I'm gonna read him this at bedtime. So
Oh,
so I started it up, and somehow it was so much scarier the second time around. I started up and I'm like, and she got in the car and I was like, oh no. And he's like, what? And I'm like, no, it won't happen for 400 pages. But like, but it's stunning, that kind of thing. And it's all about, again, like the emotional landscape of the characters.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was something that I was thinking of as well when I went to see the recent Conjuring movie, and the reason those movies work so well for me is that
Mm,
kind of, it's, you know, the bonding between this husband and his wife, with his wife and her husband, and it's just really, it just makes everything so much better. Yeah, I
yeah,
really love to write horror, some more horror like that, some more of that kind of thing. Absolutely.
yeah. And a lot of classic horror is domestic in a way very similar to the Gothic.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, The Shining, right?
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
husband and wife and a child trapped in this house.
Yeah.
I'm such a wimp about movies though. I have to go for like I read the Wikipedia summaries. I see a horror trailer and I'm like, that looks interesting. Let me read about this.
Yeah, I do the same thing, and Saleka Snyder, she does the same thing as well. I don't think we're alone in that at all. I find that I still get so much enjoyment out of it, even if I kind of know what's going to happen. And it kind of like it keeps the tension, but then there's less tension. I don't know. I find that really helpful.
Well, I think of it as an anticipation tension rather than a suspense tension, like what's going
Yeah.
to happen. And suspense can be really useful, but suspense for me often veers really, really far into dread. And if I'm having
Yeah.
too much dread, then
Yeah.
I'm not actually having fun.
Yeah.
And that's partly because I'm not an entirely horror person. But
Mm.
if you know what's going to happen, like that's why the horror movie tells you, like they show like the classic slasher thing is to show somebody getting offed in the first scene so that you know getting offed
Yeah.
is like a possibility. And
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
romance, you know they're going to end up happy together. And so you have that as kind of I think of it as a string, and you have to fix both ends of the string. So you have to start somewhere, but you have to have that end point fixed. And
Mm.
that's where the tension comes. Like
Yeah.
you're not following a string through the woods like you are in literary fiction, which is very
Mm.
interesting and valuable. But you can only get music if the string has like resonance and tension in it.
Oh my God, that's you just. I mean, I know you're smart. But oh my goodness, yeah, yeah. That's it. That's it. And it's a good point as well that like about how we as romance lovers and romance readers primarily probably relate to horror in the way that we
Yeah.
like that kind of the taut string, but to know what's on either end of the string, I guess. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I mean you would think that horror and romance would therefore like fight each other, but they don't as much as you'd think.
No, I don't think so at all. I think they rely on a lot of the same um conventions and the same ideas to sort of in the way that to build that tension and to build those relationships and all that kind of thing. I do think they're closer than people think. Like
Yeah.
I'm sure that there'd be people who hold their hands up in horror at the idea of horror romance, but I think they really go well together. And some of my
Yeah.
favorite kind of like really passionate romances that I've loved were horror, like Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula and all that kind of thing.
Oh God, yeah. No, what a gorgeous film.
Yeah,
I need to rewatch that. It's been too long.
yeah,
But yeah,
it's
and then you have like Wuthering Heights,
yeah,
which does it end happily? I mean, they're both dead ghosts supposedly like wandering the moors together, which seems like it suits them. But
yeah. But I think that like in the movie realm as well, that a lot of the time you end up having to make do with something where there's not a happy ending, and just making do
yeah.
with those like really passionate moments, you know.
Yes, the Crimson Peak scenario.
See, I absolutely love Crimson Peak. I love it. But I just wish it was just that little bit different, you know, they'd just gone in a
Yeah.
slightly different direction, you know? Yeah,
Yep.
it's so close to being the perfect romance. Yeah. Yeah.
See, and I've been watching, when I saw Crimson Peak, I've been watching too many murder mysteries. And so, like, the nice young man who's slowly working his way toward the rescue. And I'm like, okay, if this is a gothic, he's going to save her at the last minute. And
Yeah.
if this is a mystery, he's going to turn out to be the villain. So I don't know what to think now.
It's so true. I think, yeah. I mean, I come from many different genres as well. Like, and from
Yeah.
those perspectives, and it is the kind of case. What am I dealing with here for sure? Like sometimes I do that a lot with like Star Wars. Like when people are like, "Oh, they're going to end up together. It's going to be wonderful." I'm like, "It's Star Wars. They're
No,
not. It's
they
not."
never happens. Like, no. Star Wars is deeply hostile to romance, like a lot.
Yeah, yeah. You've got to know what you're dealing with. Essentially, you've got to be realistic.
So yeah, so then how do you balance that with, as you mentioned, like we're also in a rom-com renaissance. So how do you balance like that horror and that big emotional well with the lighter elements like the comedy? Like I know you have the card with the pug and you have ruined pugs for me because I now expect them all to talk and they're not gonna, and I'm bummed.
It's one of the biggest disappointments of my life that pugs don't talk. And I need them to talk. Yeah, the comedy elements, I guess the thing is for me that like I have always just like in any situation that I write about, I always find that humor is a good way to sort of like bring out the realism of it. Like the even though the situation is completely fantastical, if people are joking about it, it kind of it grounds it for me. That's how I've always kind of approached it, especially like in writing like my fake dating contemporaries and all this kind of thing, and the wild events that go on in my paranormal series. Like the grounding really it really comes from like humor for me personally. It's why I feel like What We Do in the Shadows is one of the most realistic like like depictions of like what vampires would be like on screen. For me personally, I think it's really real because they're just constantly in these absurd situations.
Yeah, there's the one with the email chain, and they think they're literally going to be cursed if they don't forward this email, but they don't know enough people with an email address.
It's stuff like that.
Yeah, it's very funny, but
it's just so real.
And and the way that series starts, when you meet all the vampires and then you meet Colin, and he's an energy vampire, and you're like, and you know he's got a job, and he goes out during the day, and you're like, is he just a normal dude? Like, is he just like a metaphorical vampire? And it was really funny, and they didn't break that tension for like 3 or 4 episodes, and then they gave Colin like a magical power, and I'm like, oh no, he's a supernatural. It's fine. But it was also very funny when you thought he was just a guy.
Yeah. But that was very real too. That was very kind of like you can totally imagine that being the case. I remember in the film version as well, where they just end up they really love that one guy who's just a guy, and he's just
a guy.
He's just like an IT worker or something.
Yeah.
I thought that was so. I think stuff like that is fantastic, and it's the same in the series as well. I think because Laszlo, he likes that ordinary guy who lives next door and hangs out with him or something.
Sean, yeah. And Sean's just a guy. Wait, does Sean become a werewolf at some point? Am I misremembering? Anyways, that's later.
It's possible. Is he the guy that he calls him his rotten soldier and his sweet cheese?
Yeah, I think so. Like, or it's no,
I say that all the time. I say that I use that all the time. He's my my rotten soldier.
Yeah, and he's always having like the marital problems, and they try to fix them, and it just makes it worse.
Yeah. I love all that stuff. I just love it. Yeah.
So then how do you approach? Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you can tell we've been friends for years.
So then how do you approach the do you approach the world building differently if you're doing something with a paranormal aspect versus something with a contemporary aspect? Are there different strategies or different places you start?
I think with the paranormal stuff, with the world being in that, the setting becomes much more important than in any contemporary. That,
Mm,
well, for me personally, anyway, like the setting is something that you can really use to sort of like bolster that world building and help create it, and like even things down like to like Cassie's cottage and all that kind of stuff, the town that it's in, that kind of
yeah.
helps kind of like lay a foundation, I guess. For me, when I'm writing a contemporary, the setting is not as important unless it's about a place, I guess, you know,
Yeah.
unless it's like about like a summer camp or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one of the ways that I got that's very different for me, is trying to find the actual world it's saying and sort of build that out. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, because if you're like, okay, well, they met in London, and you can just let people map London in their heads. You don't need to like,
Yeah.
unless you're doing something really specific, you don't need to invoke every aspect of that. But if you're like, oh, they met in Frangelica Stan, and you're like, oh, I have to tell people what Frangelica Stan's about.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, precisely. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's a lot more complicated, but and also I just find it a lot more fun in many ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun to be able to create your own world and to think about the rules of that world and all that kind of thing. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
especially I haven't had a chance to go back and read How to Help a Hungry Werewolf, but with Demon it was really interesting to kind of get the views into what must have happened in book one,
Mm,
because like especially because our heroine in book two, sorry, mild spoilers for everybody, but she doesn't really know that magic stuff's happening.
yeah, yeah,
Like she knows that she has a past with it and she's trying to keep that tamped down and it does not work. And then of course slowly you're becoming aware of everything that's actually happening around her.
yeah, yeah. I it's been really interesting for me because I've been writing the third book at the moment, and that's she knows from the start about everything. So
Yeah.
so it's been fun to do that after writing two people who are either completely oblivious or have suppressed. Basically, I've done completely oblivious, kind of suppressing it, and
Yeah.
absolutely aware. So it's been fun doing
That's a
like,
nice.
yeah, it's been fun doing the different perspectives and how fresh that keeps it, you know? I think if
Yeah.
you're writing three people who have no idea or very little idea or are trying to sort of like pretend it wasn't real, that could get quite old. But yeah, I've just realized that I've done three different things now.
Well, see, yeah, I mean that's your brain approaching these like the writing exercise like it's a puzzle to be solved or like a game to be played.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I think that's how a lot of romance writers approach it. It's not like now serious literature craft time. It's, well, what if I tried this? What if I changed one of the rules slightly? What if I juggled something slightly different? You know, it's a
yeah.
fun, it's a hold my beer kind of genre.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just like the
Like there
fun.
was
Yeah, that is
yeah.
definitely how I approach pretty much every story I've ever written, not just the paranormals, but just
Mhm.
that kind of like what excites me, what is like entertaining to me, what is like weird to me, what can I do to sort of like get that across, you know? That's all
Yeah.
the what it is for me. It's never like, well, how can I make this serious point? It's always
Yeah.
what can I say about these characters? Who are these characters, you know, and what kind of fun things and stakes and emotions and things can I get them into, I guess.
Yeah. And it ends up sometimes in some very serious places. Like, I mean, we're literally facing down the devil at one point in this book. It's like not it's not without some dread, I will say.
Yeah, yeah, I
But it's
suppose like the more you know, the more you sort of like love your characters, the more in some ways fun it is to kind of get them into like really intense situations. I think the more
yeah.
sort of like the more fun you have and more excited you are about them, and the more you can lean in that direction, I guess. I don't know.
Mhm. No, I believe it. Like you want to torture them a little bit because they have to learn something, they have to grow.
Mm.
And it's fun to prank your friends. Like, you know, but like, I think there is a line. I think there are authors out there who do hate their characters, who do like are trying to punish somebody somehow. Like,
Yeah.
I've read those books; they exist.
Yeah. I like my characters to go through the ringer in a way that's like it exhausts them and wrings them out, and it's, but there's something rewarding about every step they take,
Yeah.
That's what I'm always looking for. There's something like I'm writing quite a bit of fantasy at the moment, and there's something that it really has driven home to me what I love about fantasy the most is when you have a character like going on like a journey of some description, and each step is tough, and like sometimes they're hungry and they don't have enough of this or enough of that, and they have to kind of like struggle towards it and get better at finding these resources. That's what I love. That's what
Yeah.
that stuff, I love that stuff.
Well, because then you look back at the beginning and you're like, oh my God, we've come so far.
Yeah.
Like, and it's fun to feel like you've been on a journey with a character.
Yeah, yeah. And it's kind of that satisfaction as well, and just I always think of like Stardew Valley.
Yeah. Yes.
The satisfaction of just gradually eking out an existence, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, like when you start, you can hit like 3 rocks and then congrats, you're exhausted for the day. Find something else to do.
It's that feeling of I want to embody that feeling. Yeah.
Let me see. Well, yeah, still no power. So then I think, are we at the Q&A time? I think.
Yes.
Yes. Hi,
Good
Kathy,
job,
welcome back.
Olivia. This is so fun. Like this conversation, I'm gonna listen this over and over again.
We've had so much fun. It's just
Yeah,
But like
wonderful.
all the things you're talking about are so fascinating, and all the pop culture references, and never thought about the tension between romance and horror. Duh. So thank you so much for that. Let me move to questions. Okay, so Rochelle said, Charlotte, I loved the kindness in dealing with the desperate.
Oh, you've broken up a bit, Kathy.
Kindness in the world right now.
I didn't quite get that question.
Okay, I'm so
it's
sorry.
in the Q&A. If you click the Q&A, you can see it written out too. Charlotte.
I don't know what I'm doing.
But no, so you don't have to worry about. So, Olivia, if you can say it because maybe you're coming through more clearly than I am.
Yeah. So Rochelle is asking, Charlotte, I loved the kindness in dealing with a desperate demon. Given the rise in unkindness in the world right now, was that an intentional focus, or did I just notice it more?
Yeah, it's always intentional. Always. Especially right now, it is massively intentional for me to sort of like have the valuing of kindness in my books for 1,000,000%. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all are looking for that. I think that's why we're seeing more like queer romances and more found family structures.
Yeah.
Sengu Mandana's cozy witch innkeeping books are like just a warm hug of a book.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh god, yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna type her name.
Yeah, I absolutely love books. And it's that exact feeling.
Yeah, it's like, I thought at first that the first one was like veering toward a little bit too twee, and then I was like, wait, corpses? Okay.
Yeah.
No, just like pitch perfect stuff.
Yeah, really good, really good. It makes me so happy that books like that have taken off to such a degree. Books like that, books like The Spell Shop and Legends and Lattes and things like that. It makes me so happy that they found an audience in the way that they have. Even books like Murderbot,
Yeah, no, Murderbot is cozy as heck. Like in between all the dismemberings.
Yeah. That's what I love about Murderbot though, is that contrast of like the warm, loving, found family vibes with all the horrific murder.
Well, and speaking of dread, it's fun because Murderbot doesn't know there's a found family waiting for it, but like you can see it coming miles away.
Yeah,
Like
that's
you're like,
wonderful.
no, these space hippies, because people were mad. They're like, oh, they changed it up for the show, and I'm like, no, man, these people were idealists in the book. Making them space hippies is perfectly fine.
I think the stuff they did in the show was so dead on. It
Yeah,
was so like it. The changes they made were just, you could tell this person loved Murderbot, loved the
yeah,
books. You could
yeah,
tell all the writers did. It was, oh god, it was wonderful.
yeah.
I bawled at the end. I bawled my eyes out.
I am so excited for a potential season 2 because of course book 2 is Murderbot makes a friend and we meet Art. And like, I'm so pumped. Like,
Yeah, and but I have to mention as well, though. I really do have to mention that part of this, all of what we're talking about, is why I loved your book, why I loved Murder by Memory. I just absolutely
oh,
loved it. It was just such a wonderful book. Um, I just adored every inch of it. I galloped through it. I couldn't believe it was so short.
yeah, it was like I literally like wrote it in 2 weeks as a fun December gift to myself. I'm like, oh, I have this thing in my head and I'm just gonna type it out and now it's over. And I'm like, oh,
It's
that was
perfectly
fun. I
formed.
want
It's perfectly formed, but I need 50 of them.
well, I can promise you 3. But it was so funny, like because as I was writing the first one, I was like, well, what about how would this work on the ship? And I would write it down and then keep going. And by the end of composing the first draft of book 1, I had like 6 little novellas planned. And I'm
Oh,
like,
that's
oh,
wonderful.
okay. Well, I
That's
guess
wonderful.
I get to talk to somebody about this.
But you know, you can. I feel like you can tell when you read it that it's got that vibe of somebody who is just at the height of their powers, but also just really enjoying. Right? It's got that. Like it sounds the way that Martha Wells describes writing Murderbot. It's that kind of like, oh, let me just try this. Let me just do this. I just want to
Yeah.
do this exciting thing that's got me, and it's, you can really tell when you read it. It's just wonderful, wonderful book.
Well,
Absolutely.
that's very gratifying. I've had a ton of fun. The third novella, which I've sent off to my editors, is probably like one of my favorite things that I've ever written. Like there's a scene where I'm just like, "Oh, I had this idea and I get to do this thing and it's gonna be badass." Like it was so fun. And
Oh,
like the second one was a similar sort of game, which is the second one, which is out in March and up for pre-order, is called Nobody's Baby. And it's because we're on this generation ship and everybody gets new bodies, and we're like, it's complicated to have kids in space, so we're just not going to do that. We'll have kids when we're on the planet, and until then, everybody enjoy your vacation for 1,000 years. Um, and then a wild baby appears, and how? And whose is it? And why don't they appear to know about it? Like,
oh my
it's
gosh, I
so,
cannot wait to read it. Oh my
yeah.
god.
Well, on the one hand, it's this kind of like, how could a baby appear out of nowhere without somebody remembering it? And what if alien, but instead of a xenomorph, it's a human child, but people are still reacting with horror. And like, it was so much fun.
Yeah, I just love the way that you have all this kind of like, it's a really kind of unusual kind of world, and all that you've kind of set it in, and all the sort of like the way it all works, and yet you just you put it all so seamlessly through. Like you just pick up on everything so easily, and it just all works. And there's none of that horrible. Sometimes it really throws me out of a book when I feel as if, why would they do things like that? Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
there's never a moment like you've done it so perfectly. Everybody go buy this book, go pre-order the next book. It's amazing.
It does feel like, and partly I think because they're novellas, I give myself the excuse that you only have to write the really interesting bits. Like because you're not doing that novel scope, you don't need as much of the tendon tissue, and you don't want to write a book that's all tendon because that's really like constipated in a way. But with a novella, you've got like the skeleton and just a little bit of sinew holding it all together, and you can keep things lean and like I
It's
don't know
just
why I talk about books like bodies, but I do it a lot.
it
There's
makes
a
sense.
lot of enemy to a book.
Yeah. I mean, we call it a corpus for a reason, don't we? But
Um,
it's perfectly judged. It's wonderful.
so
oh, and
speaking
somebody
of
in the chat
novellas,
brought
Olivia,
oh yes.
There
Well,
is a question. I'm going to let you read because I don't know what's going on with mine.
Oh, well, somebody in the chat mentioned The Spare Man, which is really interesting because I don't think that was out when I started writing Murder by Memory. I think it came out like 2 months later or something. Like,
Oh, I've
so
not heard of it.
it's this really interesting. Like, we've got The Spare Man and we've got the Mossa and Platey books by Mary Robinette Cowell. Or yes,
Oh
no,
yeah. Yeah.
Malka Older. Malka Older does the Mossa and Platey. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so these like cozy retrofuturist space mysteries are like a whole thing that's
Mm.
starting to come up, and it makes me so happy.
Yeah, I love them. I loved Beth Revis, I think you pronounce it. She had done like she's done kind not really a mysteries, more but kind of a mystery.
Yeah.
She did like a series of what was it called? The crash landing, slow crash landing to a something.
Oh, is that Becky Chambers?
No, 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 no. That's
That's Long Way to a Slow Angry Planet.
and Beth Revis is that's the name. That's the name, Kathy, and it's what's it called? Crash landing to a something or other. I can't. Why can't I remember it? I absolutely love these books. I'm hopeless. Hopeless. Yeah, but try those as well. They're amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Kathy, I'm sorry, I cut you off earlier. Was there?
There's a quest for you in the Q&A, Olivia, on the note of novellas. I'm going to try to read it, and if you can't hear me, you click in and read it to yourself.
Will do.
This is from Dobbs. Did you have a difficult time selling your Dorothy Gentleman novellas, or does it seem like there is more of a market for novellas right now? Also, how dare you make me cry over handmade baby gifts?
I was so proud of that. Oh my God. That was one of those lines where like you're sitting there and you're composing and suddenly the thought just pops into your head and you're like, "Oh yeah, I can have opinions and philosophies about things." And I'm like, "I've never thought about baby blankets like that." And I would never have got there without making somebody up to have that thought. It was so fun. And they were fairly easy to sell. It took a long time because pandemic, but I started writing, I think the first one in, I want to say 2020 or 2021. Um, and it was like during lockdowns, and I was mainlining every Agatha Christie adaptation I could on the TV.
Mm.
And I was reading a lot of things set on PG Wodehouse like cruise ships, like all of the comfort reads and like every Poirot episode with David Suchet.
Oh, I love Poirot.
And then I cut, and he's such a fussy little weirdo, and I loved it.
Yeah.
And who turns out to be a murderer in the very last book. And I'm like, spoilers for Agatha Christie, everybody. But like, I was like, oh my God, she actually went and did that. She's like, you're not making me bring him back like Conan Doyle. He's a murderer now. Bad things, like he's dead. It's over. Um, I'm spoiling way too many classic works of literature today. And then I saw a tweet by somebody that was asking, why aren't there more cozy mysteries set on generation ships? Because it's a big locked room and you're all stuck there together. And I was like, oh, and so my brain went Agatha Christie, Wodehouse cruise ship in space and smash. And I'm like, I know exactly what that sounds like. Like in my head, I'm like, oh, of course, that's so natural. Which is because my brain is a strange magpie place. But then I don't know, it just was like it was a ton of fun, and I sent it to my agent and she said this is a ton of fun, and we sent it to Tor because the market for novellas in sci-fi and fantasy is much stronger than for romance. Like we're
Mm.
seeing a lot of really great self-pub romance novellas and a lot of shorter things that are happening in like the self-publishing space. But
Mm.
TridePub hasn't caught on yet. So
No.
like I have a romance novella that's a sad bastard Christmas Victorian lesbian rival chicken breeder romance that shockingly TradPub was not interested in. And so I self-published it, and people are like, well, this is great. And I'm like, yes, it's so weird and it's short. And TradPub doesn't know what to do with that.
No.
And so it was actually really delightful to have something to be able to send around to say Tor, which like I've, Murderbot. I've been reading Tor novellas for so many years now. And they've been doing really wonderful stuff with shorter fiction as well as like now with Bramble into like sci-fi and fantasy romance.
Mm. Yeah, it would be. It's a dream of mine to write something like that but I would love to do something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because I also work in kids' books, and one of the things that booksellers in kids' books have been pushing for is shorter books.
Yeah.
Like, give us a 200-page book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do not need a 500-page book. We want a
Yeah.
200-page book for a variety of reasons. We're starting to see them roll out.
Yeah. Oh, really? That's so good to hear.
That is good. Yeah.
I remember there was like a while ago, there was a lot of people saying how that, all these 400-page kind of like MG books are kind of like shutting a lot of kids out, really. That it's
Yeah.
not something that they would want to pick up because it's a little bit intimidating for them. So that's really nice to hear, especially even as an adult as I am now, that I found there have been periods of time in my life where I've had to retrain my brain to read again frequently, and I've done it via novellas, do it via things like Murder by Memory, with things like
Yeah.
that. So I'm sure that kids need it more than ever, more than anything that we've ever.
Yeah, going through the full narrative arc is a muscle, and you have to practice it. You can't do the 4 volume series all the time. You need the morsels. Like,
Yeah,
Exactly.
you do. Especially like
yeah.
when you get in reading slumps, when you've read a really good book and nothing compares, it's a good way to sort of like get you back into other
Yeah.
books, is to go that way. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. Oh, there's one more question that came up. Hang on. Okay, another one for Olivia. How has the reception been moving from romance to sci-fi?
Well, that's been interesting, and it's still because we're still kind of in the first year of Murder by Memory. It's been really fun to see. I've been a romance and sci-fi reader for as long as I've been a reader. Like the first romance novel I read was also the first sci-fi novel I read, and it was Joanna Lindsay's Warriors Woman, which most sci-fi readers would not count as sci-fi, but I'm a sentient ship and crash landing on a barbarian planet. It's science fiction. It's crazy, but it's bonkers. Um, and so for me, like these genres have always been connected. I've been reading Douglas Adams and Terry Pratchett for as long as I've been reading Julie Garwood and Lisa Kleypas. It's been, and so it's very strange to come in as somebody who's been like established in romance for a few years and then to come into what feels more like a debut kind of headspace. And I'd written paranormal romances, so I was like writing like in a very fantasy space. Mine actually also have demons, which was fun. Those were way back in the Alora's Cave days. I wrote a pair of novellas about uh, a Regency lord who was condemned to hell for the sin of lust, and he falls in love with a demoness there. And of course, it's very goofy. And then the book two is his fiance, his human fiance, who can now see demons and is dismayed to find they're all over London. But it's been a very different space in some ways, and I do feel very fortunate that right now the overlap between speculative fiction and romance is kind of more visible and louder than it's been before. There's still like um I do think it's following that it has a little bit of an easier time than something with a complete romance arc per book because we're parceling it out. We're doing the timing of a mystery romance series as opposed to a romantic suspense series. So romantic suspense, you solve a mystery over the course of like many books, but you have like a complete couple arc in each book. Whereas mystery romance, you have one romance beat per book, but you solve a complete mystery arc in each one.
Yeah.
Did I say that right? Does that make sense?
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. So like Sherry Thomas is a good example of this. Her Lady Sherlock books. They have a romance arc, but it takes like 5 books to kind of get anywhere. But meanwhile, you're getting one really twisty, complicated mystery per book.
Yeah.
And then in
That makes-
something like Tessa Dare's Stud series, which has a mystery arc over the course of 3 books, you're getting a little bit of the mystery solved in each book, but each book has a complete romance for the main couple.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, that makes sense.
And yeah, so Dorothy Gentleman is very much in the we get one romance beat per book. So there is a complete romance arc, but it's happening over the course of the whole series. And then yeah, book 3 I also finally get to write like spicy scenes on the Fairweather, which is very fun.
That's just like opened my brain up a little bit. Like me, because there's a book that I'm sort of thinking of subbing soon, and yeah, that's really made me think a little bit. Interesting. I should have known this conversation would.
I am so grateful to both of you.
Mind.
This is a fantastic conversation, technical difficulties aside on my end. I have like a page of notes that I'm going to read up, and I'm going to run the list. And Charlotte, I will run the list of authors by you guys before I send the email out to everybody so we have everything accurate.
I may add a few more names that I think of because I always forget names in the moment.
Yeah, me too.
Fantastic. It's all good.
For that book.
But I'm so glad that you're both joining us from the UK, from the West Coast, and everybody in between who's joined us from across the world. It's so fun that we're able to do this. And what a joyful conversation. I can't wait to listen to it again.
Thank you so much, Kathy. And thank you, Olivia. And thank you, everybody, for coming.
Yes, thank you so much. And y'all have a great rest of your Sunday. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.